Pranams and namaste to all. Today we begin Chapter 11, Vishvarupa Darshana Yoga, the Yoga of the Universal Form. Vanchitam amritam yatu Shri Rupa Raghunathayo tadanetu tilesham yaha sahatena Narasingha Pshadakari Siddhanta Sarasvati Samasama Bhaktivedanta Sisya Sa Vande Swami Narasingha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. Verse 1. Arjuna Uvacha Madanugrahaya Paramam Guyamat Yatma Samjitam Yatva Yoktam Vachastena Mohoyam Vigato Mama. Arjuna said, by your mercy you have explained the greatest secret about your supreme nature. Thus my bewilderment is gone. Verse 2. Bhavapyayal hi bhutanam shrota vistara shomaya tatva kamala prataksha mahatmyam apichavyayam. O lotus-eyed Krishna, I have heard your detailed description of the creation and destruction of all living beings, as well as your eternal glories. Verse 3. Evamitat yatat tatvam atmanam parameshvara dashtumichami te rupam aishvaram purusottama. O Supreme Controller, what you have described about yourself is true. O Supreme Person, I now desire to see your form of great splendor. Verse 4. Manyase yadi tachchakyam maya dashtumiti prabho Yogeshwara tato me tvam darsayatmanam avyayam. O Master of all yogis, if you think that it is possible, then kindly show that immortal form to me. Anuvritti commentary by His Divine Grace Jagad Swami Bhakti Gaurava Narasingha Maharaj. By the end of Chapter 10, Arjuna is completely convinced that Sri Krishna is the Supreme Person and that all creation manifests from Him and remains in Him after annihilation. But in order that future generations may not mistake Krishna for an ordinary man or simply a philosopher, Arjuna requests Krishna to reveal His universal form, Vishvarupa, the form of Krishna wherein everything in the universe is contained. This form cannot be seen by any independent endeavor, but completely depends on the mercy of Krishna for Arjuna to behold. Arjuna also knows that in the future, unscrupulous men will claim to be God and mislead ignorant people. Therefore, Arjuna wants Krishna to show His universal form as the benchmark so that anyone claiming to be God should be able to show the universal form to confirm their position. Indeed, Arjuna's foresight was accurate. Since the time of Krishna, and especially in modern times, many so-called God-men have stepped forward in society and claimed to be Krishna or God incarnate. Unfortunately, the masses of people are so ignorant that they accept such impostors. The greatest misfortune befalls a person when he or she claims to be God, or when a person accepts another human as God. This is without a doubt the darkest ignorance. The Ishopanishad warns of this as follows. Andam tama pravishanti ye vijam upasati tatabuya ivate tamo yatu vidyayam rataha. Those who are engaged in worshiping an ordinary human being as God enter the darkest region of ignorance. Worse still are those who falsely claim to be God. That was the Ishopanishad verse 9. Sri Krishna is addressed by Arjuna as the Supreme Person, Parameshwara, and the master of all yogic powers, Yogeshwara, because Arjuna knows that Krishna will be able to show him the universal form, thus distinguishing Krishna once and for all as the Supreme Being. Verse 5. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashame parta rupani shata shota sahasrashaha nanavidani divyani nani varna kritini cha. Bhagavan Sri Krishna replied, Partha, behold my unlimited divine forms of various hues and shapes. Verse 6. Pashadityan vasun rudran asvinal marutastata bahunyadrista purvani pasyascharjani bharata. O descendant of Bharat, behold the Adityas, Vasus, Rudras, and Asvini Kumaras, and the Marutas. Behold the multifarious amazing forms never before seen. Verse 7. Ihaikastam jagat krishnam pasyajasa characharam mamadehe gudakesha yachchanya dashtam ichasi. O conqueror of sleep, behold in this one place the entire cosmos, including all moving and non-moving beings, all within this form of mine, along with whatever else you desire to see. Verse 8. Natu mam shakyasi drashtum aninaiva svachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshu pashame yogamashvaram. Yet you are unable to perceive this with your present eyes. Therefore I will give you divine vision. Now behold my mystic splendor. Anuvritti commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj. If one gazes out into the universe with his eyes, or even with a modern telescope, one should not expect to see the universal form as was shown to Arjuna. The universal form is not possible to perceive with the eyes of this material body. For such a vision as Arjuna was to receive, one needs divine eyes. In other words, Arjuna's vision of the universal form was subjective and could only be revealed by Krishna. Within that vision, Arjuna was able to see in one place all that is, all that was, all that will ever be, everything moving and non-moving in an instant. As we will see in this chapter, after seeing the universal form of Krishna, which Arjuna describes as wonderful, astonishing, fiery, terrible, and devastating, he becomes fearful and asks Krishna to once again show him his charming and beautiful form as the Supreme Person. Verse 9. Sanjaya uvacha evam yukta tato rajan mahayogi sparo harihi darsayam asya partaya paramam rupam aishvaram. Sanjaya said, O Maharaj Dhritarashtra, having spoken thus to Partha, the great master of all mysticism, Sri Krishna, revealed the majesty of his universal form. Verses 10 and 11. Aneka Vaktranayanam, Aneka Buddha Darshanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divaneko Jatayudam, Divyamalyam Bharadaram, Divyagandanulepanam, Sarvascharya Mayam Devam, Anantam Vishvatomukam. Sri Krishna revealed his form of infinite mouths and eyes, adorned with many divine ornaments and raising many celestial weapons. He was decorated with divine garlands and garments and anointed with heavenly fragrances. He was most wonderful, splendorous, unlimited, and all-pervading. Verse 12. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhavidyuga Padutita Yadi Basa Rishi Sasyad Basastasya Mahatmanaha. If an infinite number of suns were to appear in the sky simultaneously, such effulgence might possibly resemble the splendor of that Supreme Person. Verse 13. Tatraikastam Jagat Krishnam Pavibhaktam Anekada Apasya Deva Devasya Sharire Pandavastada. At that moment, Arjuna, the son of Pandu, saw the entire cosmos within the form of the master of the demigods. Verse 14. Tatasa Vishmaya Visto Hrista Roma Dhananjayaha Pranamya Sirasha Devam Kritanjalir Abhashata. Thus, being overwhelmed with astonishment, Arjuna's hair stood on end, and placing his hands together in prayer, he offered his obeisance to Sri Krishna and spoke. Verse 15. Arjuna uvacha pashyami devam stava deva dehi sarvam stata bhuta vishesha shangan brahmanam isham kamalasanastam rishims cha sarvan urgams cha divyan. Arjuna said, O Master, I see within your body all the demigods and all other forms of life. I see the sages, the celestial serpents, as well as Brahma and Shiva seated on a lotus. Verse 16. Aneka bahudara vaktra netram pashyami tvam sarvato nantarupam nantam namajam napunastavadim pashyami vishveshvara vishvarupa. O Master of the universe, I see your unlimited form with innumerable arms, bellies, mouths, and eyes. I see that there is no beginning, middle, or end to this universal form of yours. Verse 17. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha teho rashim sarvato dipti mantam pashami tvam turniriksham samantad dipta nalarkad yutam aprameyam. I see you in all directions with crown, club, and disc weapon, a mass of radiance illuminating all around. You like the brilliance of the sun, making you difficult to behold. Verse 18. Twamaksharam paramam viditavyam twamasha vishvasha param nidhanam twamavyaya shashvata dharma gopta sanatanastvam purusho mato me. You are the eternal absolute truth known by the Vedas. You are the ultimate shelter of the universe. You are the imperishable protector of Dharma. I understand you to be the eternal supreme person. Verse 19. Anadimayantam ananta viryam ananta bahum shashi suryanetram pashami tvam dipta hustasha vaktram svateja shavisham idam tapantam. I see that you are without beginning, middle, or end. You have unlimited power and innumerable arms. Your eyes are the sun and the moon. This entire universe is scorched by the rays emanating from your mouth like blazing fire. Anuvritti commentary by Srila Guru Maharaj. The universal form of Sri Krishna is one that invokes great awe, reverence, and laudations from the beholder. But factually speaking, a devotee of Krishna is not charmed by such a display. Awe and reverence borders on fear, and as we shall see, Arjuna does indeed become fearful as he continues to behold Krishna's universal form. Fear does not encourage a loving relationship with the Supreme. Therefore, the universal form of Krishna is not very important for students of Bhakti Yoga, only inasmuch as it proves to demonstrate that unless one can show the universal form, one should not be accepted as God. Factually, there are different avatars of Krishna that appear in the universe at scheduled times, and these have been mentioned by Jayadev Goswami as follows. Vedam dudarate jagante bahate bhugolam ubibrate daityam darayate balim chalayate ksatra ksayam kurvate alasyam jayate halam kalayate karunyam atanvate lecham murchayate dashakriti kriti krishnaya tubhyam namaha. O Krishna, I offer my respects unto you who appear in the forms of these 10 avatars. As Matsya, you rescue the Vedas, and as Kurma, you carry the Mandara mountain on your back. As Varaha, you lift up the earth planet with your tusks, and as Narasingha, you tear open the chest of the Daitya Hiranyakashipu. In the form of Vamana, you delude the Daitya king Bali by requesting only 3 steps of land from him, and then you take the whole universe from him by expanding your strides. As Parashurama, you slay all the wicked warriors, and as Ramachandra, you fight the Rakshasa king Ravana. As Balaram, you carry a plow with which you subdue the wicked, and you draw the river Jamuna towards you. As Buddha, you show compassion towards all living beings that are suffering in this world, and at the end of Kali Yuga, you appear as Kalki in order to bewilder the mlechas. That was the Gita Govinda by Srila Jayadeva Goswami. In reading the Bhagavad Gita, one sees repetition in many places. This, however, is not a flaw, but an embellishment due to ecstasy. The Acharya Baladev Vidyabhushan confirms this. Prasadi Vishmaye Harshi Divi Tarir Uktam Nadushanti, as does the famous commentator on Bhagavad Gita, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who writes in his purport to verse 19 as follows. There is no limit to the extent of the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Here and in many other places there is repetition, but according to the scriptures, repetition of the glories of Krishna is not a literary weakness. It is said that at the time of bewilderment or wonder or of great ecstasy, statements are repeated over and over. That is not a flaw.